Hello everybody, this is Mr. B on our music notes. Today we're going to be exploring the sequencer in Studio One. Let's go make some drum sequences. Okay everybody, let's make a drum sequence using Studio One. So I already have a session of Impact loaded up, ready to go. This is a Impact that I made in the last tutorial about making or using Impact, and this one's called Cool Kit. Okay, and just a little reminder, you can see that I've got my kicks, snares, hats, cymbals, plucks, and some other groovy stuff. So let's make a drum sequence. Okay, the first thing that we're gonna do is go to your track where you have Impact and then make a region. Select and make a region. It's a blank region. And now the important thing is to press Control. Press Control. And when you press Control, you will see some different options after you press Control while hovering over the empty region. And we're going to go to Instrument Parts. Okay, in Instrument Parts. Or we can even press Insert Pattern. Let's try that. Insert Pattern. And then we have a pattern right here, ready to go. Okay, we have a pattern. And let's go down and look at this pattern. This is the standard beginning of a drum sequencer. Okay, so this section right here where we have 1, that is the first beat. 5 is going to be the second beat. 9 is the third beat. And 13 is the fourth beat, because this is a 4x4 time signature. And our resolution is 16. Okay, so let's talk about all of this real quick. These are your instruments. You can see these are the exact same 16 instruments that I created on my drum pad. Okay, wonderful. So I've got my kick and my snare. These are the different kinds of variations, and we're going to be making variations, which means they're just going to be a little bit different from the other pattern. We can make several different patterns like this. It's pretty amazing. The steps shows us how many steps there are in what is right now 1 bar, because my resolution is 1/16. That means there's 16 notes in 1 bar. And if my steps are 16 steps, that means each one of these is going to be 1 step or 1/16th note. Okay, that's pretty standard to have resolution of 1/16. You could change it. You could change it to all sorts of things. 1/8, 132, 164, even triplets. That's what these T's are for. Or dotted, that's what those D's are for. Or even time signature of 5/4 or a crazy 7/8. Dotted means that it's not on the grid and it's off of the grid in a certain pattern, and triplets means that there it goes by 3s. Okay, so we'll talk a little bit and we'll do some demonstrations about what these sound like in the near future. Maybe not in this episode, but definitely in the near future. So for now, we're going to stick to resolution 1/16, steps 16th. That means 1 bar. Okay, this is just to show you how to sequence. Now, if I wanted to make it 2 bars, I can change the steps. And what would we change it to? Yes, you're right, 32 bars, because that's 16 times 2. So 32 steps, 32 steps is 2 bars with the same resolution of 1/16. You can also see that we have swing and gate and accents. Okay, these are a couple other really cool features that we'll dive deeper into a more advanced lesson of drum sequencing. Okay, swinging is when you actually just, it'll move off the grid just a little bit, and gating will stop the sound just a little bit. Okay, so we will talk about these in future episodes. But for now, you know what? Let's just stick to 16 steps, 16th resolution. Okay, I'm going to make it the most basic drum pattern, which is a kick on the 1, snare on the 2, kick on the 3, and snare on the 4. You can see that each beat is separated by a different color band. Like the first beat and the subsequent 3 notes that are come after it, the first 4 steps are dark black. Now step or beat 2, 1, 2, and the following steps after that, which are these 4, are like light gray, and then dark black and light gray. That's how you can differentiate each particular beat. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Now I'm going to add a hi-hat, and I'll add a hi-hat closed. Now here's a really cool thing. If I come over here, these little buttons will add in whatever note that it is at whatever interval that is selected. So this is every 1/4, every 4th step, every 2nd step, every step, no steps, and then, or to clear the lane, and then you can also move them. If I come back and I say over here, but I wanted to actually move those, that's kind of cool. And I can move those with this one. These are just kind of quick. I like to throw my hats on there sometimes. And then you can see that this is a very basic drum pattern. And it's very short. It's only 1 bar. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to loop this bar. Remember that you can press the backspace button to enable and disable your loop function. Okay, so that's really, really helpful. Okay, so now going back down to my drum sequence. Okay, I'm going to just play this out. Now I am going to and you can honestly add all of your different sounds in whatever order that you want to. Okay, so it can just be more interesting of a drum pattern. That's what all of these different steps are for, and I encourage you to experiment. And here's a real quick tip. Okay, if you're experimenting with it and you're listening to it and you put a sound somewhere and you don't like it, then you take it out and then you replace it with in a different location. That's what drum sequencing is, to find the sequence that sounds right to you, that you like. Let's make some variations. Okay, so let's go to this inspector tab right here, this big I, and you'll see variations down below. What's a variation? Basically, it's another copy of the drum pattern. Well, why is this important? Because we don't always want the same drums happening all the time. So let me go back and just clear out the lane of my hi-hats, for example. Okay? So that's variation 1. And I can just call this V1 for variation 1. It's just a kick and a snare. Okay, so if I come to this button, duplicate the variation. If I duplicate it, now call it V2 because it's the same variation. But now I'm going to add my hi-hats. Okay, and remember, I just pressed that button to add hi-hats. So now I have my hi-hats and my variation 1. Okay, I can scroll back and forth from variation 1 and variation 2 seamlessly to hear what the difference is, and it still be on the grid, like if it was a real performer performing. variation 1 to variation 2. And you can obviously continue with this. And when we're setting up song arrangements, this is an extremely powerful tool. And it's actually very quick to do. So if I'm like, okay, you know what, V3, and I want to add this little blip over here, add a blip over here, and over here, and over here. Now I've got variation 3, variation 2, and variation 1 all ready to be used in my production. Okay, now let's store this. This is really pretty cool and interesting. We can store this as a preset, as we can store many things in Studio One. I'm just going to go to Store. Okay, I've got my basic drum pattern and I've got my variations. I'm going to go over here to Store and I'm just going to call this Basic Pattern 1. I like to have everything in capital letters. Basic Pattern 1. Okay, let's just save that and see what happens. Now I come down here, and if I go to load, look at, there's my Basic Pattern 1. That is so awesome. You can save this pattern for other projects. Let's say if you make a drum pattern, and it's very similar to like other patterns that you use, but you want to change out maybe the drum kit, save your pattern. Okay, that is super cool. I have not used that feature before, but I'm definitely going to use it now because look at Mr. B's Kit 1, where I saved some patterns, and I got my basic pattern, which I can always just pull up, change the BPM, and whatever, have some fun with that. Okay, so that is about setting up your patterns. And here's the different variations. I can load up variation 2 here or here, because if I take off the inspector, check this out, I can still change my variations here. Okay, now this will also translate to your main workstation, your timeline. So if I want, like, look, if I've got variation 1, okay, and then I got variation 2, and now variation 3. Well, I guess that's just how we can access them. But, you know, if you want to include these into your project, so right here I have variation 1, V1. You can see that. I'm going to just drag and drop this variation 2 into the project, and also the variation 3. And that really didn't change anything, so that must not be the right way to do it. So let me backtrack a little bit. Oh, okay. So here, I've got my different variations here. I don't know why I was backwards, but right here, you can see, let me just organize these. V1, V2, and now V3 are all in my timeline. Okay, so you can just drag and drop your different variations straight into your timeline, straight into your scene editor, which is actually my favorite part of using variations, and we're going to get into that into the near future also. Okay, quickly just going through this, I'm almost done. I do want to show you, like, it also has this toggle auto zoom included. So, you know, if you're off the grid somewhere or you can't find something, click on that and it'll bring all of your sequences into view. All right, what's this? Oh, looks like it's about editing. This is actually really cool. This is new into Studio One 7, I believe, where you can edit impact right over here. So let's take a look. Okay, so this is the blip. You can see that, and I can edit it, pitch, filter, amp. Remember that all of that stuff is right here. So you can, let's say if you just want to adjust your blip filter, whatever. Okay, I'm just going to have my blip playing. I'm just going to solo that. And then right over here, this is the pad controls. Okay, I'm going to open up my pad controls. I'm going to open up my pad controls, and then right here is where I can adjust stuff in real time to see, if that's sounding good or if that's something that I like or whatever. Okay, so that is actually a really cool feature. Take a look. We can open and close Impact over here as well. And you can see your pads here. Amazing, okay? When you're connecting also to Atom, you can play your pads and you can see them here as well. So that is actually a new feature in Studio One 7, is having this pad, boom, selected over to the right of the drum sequencer. Love that. I really love that. Okay, and you can just toggle between individual sample and editing that and the entire pad. So if I'm like, okay, let me edit this snare, okay, or this kick, whatever it is. Let's see. Let's go to, what are we editing here? The kick. Let me go back and highlight the snare. So now here we're on snare 2, and if I go into here, now I can edit that snare too very easily. Remember, I think I had it on reverse, and we can turn the reverse on or off. All of the same functions that are on Impact XT in a little micro view. Okay, so that is about it for sequencing drums part 1. We will do some more drum sequencing and drum creation in a future episode. So I'll see you soon.